What's up, everybody? This is Domingo Hero Network, and today's Yu-Gi-Oh video I'm going to be doing, guys, I'm going to be doing a deck profile, and the deck profile I'm going to be doing in this video is going to be my updated version of my Bujin deck profile. So here we go. So one of my favorite decks, Bujin's. I love this deck so much, an XYZ based deck, and it's really pretty cool, pretty fun to play. I really enjoy playing Bujin's, and not to mention, ever since they got the new support from the Lightning Overdrive set from last year, the deck is improving and is getting better and is doing pretty good and doing well, you know. So, and also this is going to be for the post ban list as well, guys, because there is one card that came up from 1 to 2, and we actually play 2 copies of those now because it's semi-limited to 2 now, which we'll get to that when I review this deck profile. So I'm going to show you guys the main deck and the extra deck, as well as playing all my card choices and ratios. So let's not waste any time. So without further ado, let's get this deck profile started. So here we go. We're going to start off with the main deck first. So we're going to start off with the only Pendulum Monster that I play in this deck, and that is 2 copies of Bujin Haruko. So Haruko is pretty good. It's a card you only need to play at 2. I think 2 is fine. So what Bujin Haruko does, it has is a normal Pendulum Monster. The Pendulum effect says you can banish this card in your Pendulum zone, then target 1 Bujin XYZ monster you control. Special summon from your extra deck 1 Bujin XYZ monster with a different name. By using that target as an XYZ material, then special summon is treated as an XYZ summon. XYZ material attached to it also becomes the next XYZ material on the summoning monster. So it's pretty good, you know. It just helps you to like summon out your other Bujin monsters, but it has to be like a different name, you know. And then you use the Bujin monster you control as an XYZ material as well. So it does help at times, especially if you want to go for your Bujiki Su or Nuwo, the one that has multiple attacks, so monsters. So 2 of these is fine, so it's pretty good to play. Alright, now we're going to move on to the monsters. So the first monsters I'm going to show you, going to start off with the Bujins, of course. It's 3 copies of Bujin Torfu, and also 3 copies of Bujin Matitusu. So these are the cards I play at 3. You always gotta play 3 of those. It's pretty good cards to play. So Torfu is your rescue rabbit of this deck. This card actually speed up the deck more, so it's pretty good. Because at one point Bujins used to be like a very slow deck, but because of these cards, like Bujin Torfu for example, it speeds up the deck and make the deck more fun and it's better. So Torfu has an effect where you contribute this card, special summon 2 Bujin monsters of 2 different types from the deck in defense position, except for Bujin Torfu. When you XYZ summon a Bujin XYZ monster while this card is in your graveyard, you can equip this card to it. Any monster destroyed by battle with that equipped monster is banished. You can only use each effect of Bujin Torfu once per turn. So it's pretty good. Like I said, it's a rescue. It's the same effect as Rescue Cat, but only for Bujins, and it's really good because special summon the 2 Bujin monsters, but it has to be like different types. And then you could go XYZ summon, and then if you XYZ summon, then Torfu's in the graveyard. Equip the XYZ Bujin monster with Torfu, so that way, when it's destroyed any monster by battle while it's equipped to Torfu, it would be banished instead. So that's actually pretty good. It's really good. And then you got Bujin Manitosu. It's a pretty good card as well. So these are the cards you always got to play at 3. So Manitou's effect says you can send 1 other Bujin card from your hand to the graveyard. Special summon this card from your hand. You can activate one of these effects. First effect says send 1 Bujin monster from your hand to the graveyard. To add 1 Bujin monster with a different name from your graveyard to your hand. Second effect, banish 1 Bujin monster from the graveyard. Send 1 Bujin monster with a different name from your deck to the graveyard. You can only use the summoning effect and the other effect of Bujin Matitosu each once per turn. So it's pretty good, sending a Bujin from your hand. You can do the searching, or you can banish the Bujin from your graveyard and then send a Bujin mon with a different name, like Foolish Burial effect. So it's pretty good. It's good for your strategies and places stuff as well, to get your resources and stuff, so that way you can get the stuff that you need. So pretty cool. 3 copies of each. And then as far as the rest of the Bujin monsters that I play, I do play 2 copies of Bujin Hirumi, 2 copies of Bujin Arasuda, 1 copy of Bujin Yamato, and the 1 copy of Bujin Makasuchi. So these are the cards you play. I like this racer, so 2 Hirumi at 2, is pretty good. You only need 2 of those. Harmony has an effect where it cannot be normal or summon / set. Must first be special summoned from your hand by banishing 1 Bujin monster from your graveyard except for Harmony. If this card, which was summoned this way, is destroyed by an opponent's card by battle by card effects, and sent from your side of the field to the graveyard, and both players have a hand, you can discard 1 card, then your opponent discards 1 card, and of course you can only control 1 Bujin Harmony. So it's pretty good. It's good for, like, you know, discarding and all that stuff, especially if you want to get rid of your opponent's hand and stuff. And then you got 2 copies of Bujin Asura. Asura at 2 is actually pretty good. You know, you can play like 2 of those because it actually has a good effect. If a Bujin monster in your graveyard or face up to your side of the field is banished except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand and face up defense position. Once per turn during the end phase, if a Bujin card was added from your deck to your hand this turn, except by drawing it, while you control this face-up card, you could draw 1 card, then discard 1 card, and you can only control 1 Bujin Asura. So it's pretty good. If you have this and you got Yamato, you activate Yamato's effect first and then Asura's effect, so it's pretty good. And Yamato, now you can actually play Yamato at 1. There's no need to play multiple copies of this because of cards like Bujin Torufu, when you know special summon it for your deck and stuff like that. Yamato, I think 2 or 3 Yamatos is not needed anymore because of that. Because we do got cards like Torufu and the other cards as well. So 1 Yamato is all you need. And Yamato's effect says once per turn during your end phase, you can add 1 Bujin monster from your deck to your hand, then set 1 card for your hand to the graveyard. So it's pretty good, you know, search for a Bujin monster, then you gotta set a card for your hand to the graveyard. Especially like the Bujinki monsters, so that way you can get their offense for the graveyard and banish them. And Makasuchi is a card you also play as 1 as well. So this card is pretty good too. Has the effect with a Beast Warrior type Bujin monsters you control destroyed by battle by card effects sent to the graveyard. You can special summon this card for your hand. Once per turn during the end phase, if a Bujin monster was sent from your hand to the graveyard this turn while you control this card, face up card, you can add 1 Bujin spell and trap card from your deck to your hand. So it's pretty good to search for a Bujin spell and traps, you know, which we'll get to. So it's pretty good. So I like this ratio. It's pretty well. So these are cards you definitely need to play as well, because especially for your combos and strategies and stuff. So that's it for the Bujin monsters. Now we're going to move on to the Bujinkis. So I do play 3 copies of Bujinki Crane. Crane is pretty good. It's basically your honest, but for your Bujin. So Crane has an effect where during damage collision, if either player's turn, if a Bujin warrior is a beast type Bujin monster, you control battles an opponent's monster, you can send this card from your hand to graveyard, and the attack of your monster becomes double its original attack during the damage collision moment. So it's pretty good. It's like an honest, you know, double your Beast Warrior type Bujin monster you control, double its attack points, and all that stuff. Bujinki Crane is pretty good, and you can only play, and this is a card you always got to play at 3. I know before you play like 1 or 2, but 3 is actually better, especially for the damage thing. Okay, and as far as the 1-ups of the Bujinkis, I do play 1 copy of Bujinki Turtle, 1 copy of Bujinki Quillin, and the 1 copy of Bujinki Hari. So these are the Bujinki monsters I play, 1 of each. These are just the 1-ups you can play. Turtle's pretty good because he has an effect where, you know, during either player's turn, when a card effect is activated that targets a Bujin monster you control, except during the damage step, you can banish this card from your graveyard and negate that effect. So it protects your Bujin monster from being targeted from a card or an effect by an opponent. Quillin is another good one as well, because Quillin has an effect where if you control a Beast Warrior type Bujin monster, you can banish this card from your graveyard and target 1 face-up card your opponent controls and destroy that target. And of course, you only got to use the effect of Quillin once per turn, so it's pretty good to destroy a face-up card your opponent control while you control the, you know, Beast Warrior type Bujin. So it does help at times. And then you got Bujinki Hari. So Hari it's another good protection card for you as well. What this card does is during either player's turn, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target 1 Beast Warrior type Bujin monster you control once during this turn. It cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effects. You can only use each of this effect of Bujin Hari once per turn. So it's pretty good. So protect your Beast Warrior type Bujin from being destroyed by battle card effects. So it's pretty good. And also, once you banish the card once you use the effect and banish them from the graveyard, you can actually play cards like Burial Different Dimension and then bring it back to the graveyard and then do the whole thing all over again. So it's pretty good. So 1 of each of these is pretty good. Alright, so that's it for the Bujinkis. And now for the non-Bujin monsters, I only play 3 copies of Honest. Since the Bujin monsters and the Bujinki monsters are also light attributes, since all of my monsters are light attributes, and so Bujin, Honest is really good. It does help out Bujins a lot. So since almost every of your monsters are light attributes, which is pretty good. So Honest has effect, during your main phase, you can return this card from the field to your hand, and then also has an effect where, during the damage when a light monster you control, quick effect, you can send this card from your hand to where that monster gains attack equal to the attack of the opponent's monster it is battling until the end phase of the turn. And this is a card you always got to play at 3 because, same thing with Bujin Crane. Honest, you always got to play this card at 3 because since your Bujin monsters are light attribute, this card helps a lot, especially gain more attack points and stuff. So it's really good. And Honest is a little bit better than Bujinki Crane because it says the light Bujin monsters are light gains attack points equal to the opponent amount, while the Bujinki Crane says it doubles the original attack points of the Bujin monster. So 3 Honest is all you need. It's very important. You always got to play Honest at 3. So that's it for the monster, guys. Now we're going to be moving on to the spells. So we're going to get into that right now. So let me get that ready. Alright, for the spell cards, I play 3 copies of Bujin Candescence and 2 copies of Bujin Carnation. So these are the Bujin spells that I play. No need for Bujin traps. You don't really need to play because the Bujin traps, you don't really need them because this version doesn't need the Bujin trap. The Bujin spells you definitely need to play. So we got Bujin Kenset. It's a pretty good card. It's a really good continuous spell card. Bujin Kenset. What this card does is a beast warrior Bujin monster you control cannot be destroyed by an opponent's card effect except during the battle phase. Once per turn, you can send 1 Bujin card monster from your hand or face up in the field to the graveyard. Then target 1 face-up monster your opponent control and negate that effect until the end phase of the turn. During your end phase, you can send this face-up card from your field to the graveyard. Then target 1 Bujin monster in your graveyard and special summon it. So it's pretty good, really good. Not bad at all. So it's pretty good. I liked it. And of course, this is a card you always gotta play at 3. Bujin Carnation, a card you can play like around 2 or 3 or 1, whatever. It doesn't matter. You can play 1, 2, or 3. It don't matter. It's all up to personal preference. But Bujin Carnation has an effect where if your opponent controls a monster, if you control no monster, you can target 1 Bujin monster in your graveyard and 1 of your banished Bujin monsters special summon both targets. They cannot be used as XYZ material except for XYZ summon, except the XYZ summon of a beast beast warrior or wind beast type monster. So it's pretty good. It helps you go for your XYZ summoning play of a beast or beast warrior or wind beast type monster. So it's pretty good. Definitely play 2 of those, and these cards really do help a lot in this deck. And also these cards are these spell cards. They can be searched with the effect of Bujin Makasuchi. Alright, so now we're gonna move on to the rest of the spell. And of course, guys, I did mention this video. There's 1 card in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Banlist that came up from limited to 1 up to semi-limited to 2, and that is 2 copies of Fire Formation Tenkies. So yeah, this is actually pretty good. Now we can play multiple copies of Tenkies. So of course, Tenki went up to 2 in the current ban list, which is good. So now we can play multiple Tenkis. So, and of course, in the next ban list, this card could definitely go back up to 3. But for now, this card is semi-limited to 2. So Tenki has an effect where when this card is activated, you can add a level 4 lower Beast Warrior type monster from your deck to your hand. All Beast Warrior monsters you control gain 100 attack. So, and of course, you can only activate 1 Tenki per turn. So it's pretty good. Search for your Bujin, your Beast Warrior monsters. And of course, the Beast Warriors, like your Bujin Torfu, your Bujin Yamato, your Bujin Makasuchi, your Asura, like those Bujin monsters that are Beast Warrior. So Tenki does help out a lot. And of course, they can gain the extra 100 attack for this card as well. So Tenkis is pretty good. And of course, the rest of the spell cards I played, there are 1-ups. So I'm going to show you right now. 1 copy of Dark Hole. 1 copy of Raigenki, 1 copy of Harvey's Feather Duster, 1 copy of Monster Reborn, 1 copy of Foolish Burial, and the 1 copy of Burial from a Different Dimension to round off the spells. So these are the spell cards that I played, 1 of each. So these cards are really good. Let me just do it like that so you guys can see them all. So yeah, There you go, one of each. These are the one-offs I play. Dark Hole, you know, since, you know, if you got this card, let's say you got your Bujin Monsters and also Bujin Hyri, you know, you can activate, then you can use Hyri to protect your Beast War time Bujin Monster from being destroyed by card effects, being destroyed by Dark Hole. It's pretty good. Regenki, you know, you mostly want to get rid of your opponent's monsters and for monster destructions. Heartbeat's Feather Dusters, you know, just get rid of your opponent's back row. Monster Born for extra plus, so it does help. Foolish Burial is good because you can send your Bujiki monsters from the deck to the graveyard, so that way you can activate it from the graveyard and banish some stuff. And Burial from the different dimension, because since I do play the Bujikis like Hyri and Quillin and the other one, Turtle, yeah. Since I do play those, since their effect can be activated when you banish from the graveyard. And then if you're already using, you can activate Burial different dimension, then bring them back from the banishing to the graveyard, and then you can use their effects all over again. So it does help a lot in this deck. So yeah. So these are the one-offs I play. These are really good spell cards. One of each of these is pretty fine. So, and of course, that's it for the spells. Now we're gonna move on to the traps. So for the traps I play 3 copies of Mirror Force, 3 copies of Banlist Trap Hole, 2 copies of Solemn Strikes, and the 1 copy of Solemn Warning to round off the trap. So these are the trap cards I play. You can play with whatever trap cards you want. It's all up to personal preference. But me, I like playing these traps because, you know, Mirror Force is Balance. The Solemn Brigade, Warning and Strike does help out a lot. So these cards do help this deck a lot, especially, you know, you need some times to get your Bujin monsters, to get your strategies in place. So it's pretty good. So that's it for the main deck, guys. So now we're going to move on to the extra deck. So we're going to get to the extra deck right now. So let me get that ready. Alright, so we're going to start off with the, of course, all my monsters. So I do, for the XYZ guys, I do play 3 copies of Bujiki Sua Nuo, 1 copy of Bujinte Kagutsuchi, 1 copy of Bujite Tsukuyomi, and then 1 copy of Bujiki Animasu. So these are the Bujin XYZ monsters I play. Suwano is pretty good because he has an effect where, you know, this card can attack all monsters your opponent controls, 1 each. Once per turn, you can detach 1 XYZ material from this card. Take 1 Bujin monster from your deck, and you can either add it to your hand or send it to the graveyard. You can only control 1 Suwano, so it's pretty good. Love this card. Multiple attacks, and then, you know, Search or Foolish Burial. Your Bujin monster is pretty good. Then you have Kakatsuchi, really another good Bujiki monster as well. He has an effect where this card is XYZ summon. You can send the top 5 cards of your deck to the graveyard, or if your entire deck is less than 5. Also, this card gains 100 attack for each Bujin card that was sent for the graveyard by this effect. If a Bujin Beast Warrior type monster you control would be destroyed by battle by card effect, you can detach 1 XP material from this card instead of destroying one of those monsters. And of course, you can only control 1 Kakatsuchi. So it's pretty good. Protect your Bujin Beast Warrior type monster from being destroyed by battle by card effects. And then you can send the top 5 cards from your deck with the mailing, and then you can gain 100 if it's a Bujin card. So it's pretty good. Then you got Tsukuyomi. You know, it's a really good card to play. So it's basically like your pot of average. Can let you. Of course, he has an effect where, you know, once per turn, detach 1 XP service card, then send your entire hand to the graveyard. Minimize 1 if you do draw 2 cards. When this card you control, while this face-up card leaves the field because of the opponent's card effect, you can target level 4 or lower Beast Warrior Bujin monsters in your graveyard up to the number of XYZ material this card had on the field, especially some of those targets. You know, and of course you can control 1 TCG. So it's pretty good. It's like special monster born for Bujins, and of course a draw power let you draw 2 cards, so it does help. Then you got Bujinke Amasur. He has an effect where you can only, you only control 1 of him once per turn. During either player's turn, you can detach 1 XYZ material from this card to apply this effect depending on whose turn it is. If it's your turn, you can target 1 of your banished level 4 lower monsters, special summon that target. If it's during your opponent's turn, you can target 1 of your banished level 4 lower monsters and add that target to your hand. So it's pretty cool. Like during your turn, special summon a Bujin, and then during your opponent's turn, add that banished monster to your hand. So it's really good. So yeah, 3, and of course Suwano, you always got to play 3 of these. And the rest of these, you can only play one of each, because one of each is fine. The Suwano, you got to play 3. So they're really good Bujin XYZ, man. Now, for the rest of the XYZ monsters I play one copy of Gakuga Cowboy, one copy of Diamond Darwolf, one copy of Castel the Sky Blaster Musketeer, one copy of Tornado Dragon, and the one copy of Daigusto Emerald to round off the XYZs. So these are the one-ups I play. They're all pretty good. Cowboy is pretty good, with an effect where, you know, once per turn detach X0, and then you can activate the effect depending on the current battle position. If this card is in attack position, if this card attack an opponent's monster this turn gains 1,000 attack, also your opponent will lose 500 attack. And then if this card is in defense during the damage condition only, and if this card is in defense position, you can inflict 800 damage to your opponent. It's pretty good, especially like 800, you know, burn and go for game and stuff. So Cowboy is really good. Then you got Diamond Darwolf. Well, Diamond Darwolf is really good in this deck, since, you know, most of your monsters are like Beast, Beast Warrior, Wind Beast type monster. Passive effect: once per turn, you can attach one XP material from this card, then target one Beast, Beast Warrior, or Wind Beast type monster you control, and then one other card on the field and destroy them. So it's like a Scrap Dragon, you know, effect, but for an XYZ monster. Pretty good. Then you got Castel the Sky Blaster Musketeer. Of course, it has 2 effects where, you know, if you could detach one material from this card and then target a face-up monster field and change the face out of this, which you're not. It's like a Book of Moon, but you're not really going to use that effect, because you mostly want to use the second effect where you could detach 2 XC material from this card, then target one other face-up card in the field and shuffle into the deck. Of course, you can only use one of Celestia's effect per turn only once that turn. So you're going to use the effect to detach 2, because you're not going to use the first effect. You're only going to use the second one. And of course, you got Tornado Dragon, pretty good for back row removal, because it has effect where once per turn, quick effect, detach one XYZ material from this card, then target a spell, trap on the field, destroy it. So, you know, pop a back row, and it does help at times, Tornado Dragon. And then Daigusto Emerald, and this card is really good, especially recycling effect. So it has 2 effects where once per turn you can attach one extra material, and then activate one of these effects. First effect says you could target 3 monsters in your grave, shuffle all 3 into the deck, and then draw 1 card. Second effect, target 1 non-effect monster grave special on the summon. But you're going to use the first effect to recycle 3 of your monsters, shuffle them to the deck, and draw 1 card. So it's pretty good. Daigusto goes like a recycling and then draw a card like an Upstart Goblin. So these are really good. So these XYZ monsters I play, they do help out a lot in this deck. So it's pretty cool. So that's it for the XYZ monsters. Now we're going to move on to the links. I do play 1 copy of Bujin Anashima, 1 copy of Firefighting Duromadol, 1 copy of Hippo Shinigami, and last but not least, to round out the extra deck, 1 copy of Lina, the Light Charmer, Lustrous. So these are the link monsters I play. So Bujin Anashima has an effect where it cannot be used as a link material. You can only use each of the following effects of this card once per turn. First effect says if this card is link summoned, you could special summon 2 monsters with the same level, 1 from your hand, 1 from your graveyard, but negate their effects. And immediately after this resolve, XYZ summon 1 XYZ monster, using 2 of those monsters only. Then the second effect says if an XYZ monster this card points to activates the effect by detaching materials except during damage step, you can target 1 spell tracker on your opponent control destroy. So pretty good, destroy opponent's back row, and then this card help you go for your Bujin XYZ summoning, so it does help a lot. Firefighting Duromadol, this card helps out a lot since most of your monsters are Beast, Beast Warrior, Wind Beast monster. And of course, it has an effect where, you know, it gains 100 attack for each Beast Warrior, Beast Warrior on the field. And then you have, once per turn, you can just send 1 card each on the field, you know, destroy them, you know. And then it has an effect where when this card is destroyed by battle, target 1 of your Beast Warrior, Wind Beast monster that was in banish or in your graveyard, and add it to your hand. So really, really good card, you know, especially it gains 100 attack, you know, destroy the cards, back rows, and all that stuff. So it's pretty good. Then you got Hippo Shinigami, says all the Bujin monsters are light attribute. Hippo Shinigami really helps it a lot. Of course, you know, all the light monster gains 500 attack and defense, and then all the darks lose 400 attack and defense. And also, if it gets destroyed by battle card effect, you can target a light monster in your grave and add it to your hand. And then you got Lina, the Light Charmer Lustrous, since, like I said before, all the Bujin monsters are light attributes, so this card does help. You know, you can target a light monster, your opponent's graveyard, special summon it to a zone that this card points to, and then when this card is destroyed by battle while it's or is destroyed by an opponent's card effect. While this card is in the owner's monster, you can add 1 light monster with 1500 defense or less from your and add it to your deck to your hand. Of course, you can only use each effect on ladder like Charm Illustrious once per turn. So that's pretty good. So these Link monsters do help this deck a lot, and they're all pretty good. So that's gonna be it for the deck profile, guys. Hope you guys enjoy my updated version of my Bujin's deck profile. It's a pretty fun deck. I love this deck a lot. XYZ based deck, and it's really cool. So that's gonna be it for this video, guys. Don't forget to like this video, share, subscribe. Post your comments in the comment section. Tell me what you think about my updated version of my Bujin deck profile. That's gonna be it for this video, guys. So this is Domingo Hero Network. All I can say is take care, have a good day, goodbye everyone, and Domingo Hero Network is signing out. Peace.